Well, hi guys, this is Becky Page, and I am interviewing today my friend Ashley Young, who truly I have known since we were 3 years old. She went Emerald at the end of March. She didn't just go Emerald, she went Emerald and beyond. And her story is one that I've been wanting to tell for a long time. And so we thought we would just sit down and have a really open and honest conversation for you guys to watch. Let me tell you a little bit of the backstory. So I joined Plexus in January of 2014. And when I joined, I was not ready to sell at all, but my brain was already thinking through networks, like who do I know and where and who my brain was like designing a dream team right from the get-go. It just took me a while for my belief to catch up with where my brain went. But Ashley, because she was a childhood friend who I truly had grown up with, um, I used to live in Northeast Georgia in a small little town called Elberton, Georgia. My dad was a Baptist pastor there, and I met Ashley literally when we were in pre-kindergarten, and we grew up in church together, church and school. We rode the bus together. Our moms, we looked after each other's families, and our moms were in a Bible study together. We've had some history. So when I joined in January of 2014, Ashley was on my list of people to talk to. Like I said, it took my belief a little time to grow. By the time I reached out to her in May of 2014, I was already pushing past Ruby towards senior Ruby. And I remember the conversation because I was on a road trip with my family. I think it was Memorial Day. And I can remember just driving through Texas, talking to Ashley, and I could tell that she was, I could tell she was interested. I could tell that she was interested. I could tell she was her wheels were turning as well. And she ended up joining a couple months later in July of 2014. So the backstory is that both of us have been doing this for a long time. And this interview, this story, this testimony is for those of you that kind of need some encouragement. Maybe you've been through a season that tried to take you down. Maybe you've been through a season that took you out for a while, and you need encouragement that it's not too late to come back and kill it. That's why we're doing this. Let me just put the dog in another room. You are a butthole. Yeah. He's watching squirrels play right outside the
Look,
door.
mine does the same thing. He gets on the back of the sofa and barks.
So annoying.
Drives me.
I'm like, get out. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Ashley and let her tell you her story.
Okay, so in 2014, I lost my dad in March, and I had been working for EMS for 15 years. I was assistant supervisor and just wanted to be able to be at home with my dad when he passed away. And so I put in a 2 week notice and quit that March. So I was like looking for something. My dad died. He passed away. My last day of EMS was March the 5th, and he passed away on March the 15th. I'm sorry, March the 16th. Sorry, Becky. Um, anyway, so I was looking for something because I did not want to have to go back to EMS. And I had been praying for a while. Becky reached out to me in May of 2014.
2014.
And
I think that's why I
I just
waited.
basically,
I think I waited to reach out to
yes,
you because your dad, I mean, that was just such a hard loss. And I think that's why I paused
yeah,
before I reached out.
yes. But we talked the end of May, and then I jumped in with her the end of July, or not Ju the end of July. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
You're gonna have to be like, edit, edit. Um,
So you joined
so
you joined in
I,
July.
yes, I joined July the 13th of 2014. And I was a little bit like, I was sharing with my mom and my sister, but I actually did not like start to add people until towards the end of July. I ended up going silver in September and thought because everybody that was above me, like Becky and Andrea and Roz, were all like ranking really quick that it was going to be super easy for me. It was pretty easy to get silver and then gold. I went gold in November of 2014. And then I grew a team after then. Um, Looking back, I was telling you that I couldn't remember when I went senior gold, but um, stayed at gold between gold and senior gold for a while. And then in July of, I'm sorry, in October of 2017, I got pregnant with Renly.
And
And
let me interrupt you really quick to say this. You and I both, we had hard 2014s. You lost your dad, you joined. We both had miscarriages. And I think that told both of us, oh, I want another baby. But at that point, we were pushing 40, right? So we both
right,
knew that rainbow baby to come, we were getting older. And this was part of the hard seasons that we went through, even in the early days of Plexus. So you got pregnant with your youngest baby in 2017. And you were how old?
yes. And it was, I was 40, and it was a surprise because I had already come to the realization that it wasn't going to happen, and I wasn't trying, but Blake and I weren't preventing.
Yeah.
So I was told that I was going to go through early menopause. I did two egg donations earlier on after I had my oldest child. And so I knew that I would hit menopause early. And so I was just thinking, okay, it's done for me. I'm not going to have any more children. And surprise, Satcher, we went to the hospital to see Blake's best friend and his wife. They had twins, and he come home and was like, Mama, I want a baby brother. And I laughed and I was like, Satcher, I love you, but that's not going to happen. Mama is too old. And anyway, I was like, if you want a baby brother, you better pray and ask the Lord. And he literally went to bed every single night for a solid week and was like, Dear Lord, please give me a baby brother. And the next month I was pregnant. So that pregnancy was completely fine. Took the products the entire pregnancy. Um, and then I worked my business, but not like as consistent as I should have. And then um, in 2020, my oldest daughter, Emerson, or my only daughter, my oldest child, graduated. That was her senior year, and COVID hit in March. She had ran track like her entire life, middle school and high school. She was a state champion her junior year of high school, and she was wanting to run at two different colleges, and she had decided like um, what she wanted to do, but she was told, okay, this is the timeline that the time that you needed to get your running down to. And um, she had never done like training beforehand in her between her junior and senior year, she did. And so we were so excited about that season, and she got one track meet and COVID hit.
And Ashley, let me jump in right here because this is where I want to bring this up. I think there will be other moms that had children, senior high school seniors that graduated in 2020. And when I've talked to you and when I've talked to other people, I think this was a season where families just kind of felt like they were robbed. They were robbed of like you're talking about Emerson's track season. This should have been like such a crucial time for her. These meets were so important, especially for her future. You got robbed of her being able to walk the stage. You got robbed of things like prom and last day of school and senior breakfast and all those just little traditions that go into having a senior. Do you remember what was going on for you during the spring and early summer of 2020?
Well, I felt like I was trying to work my business and trying to like stay whatever, but I was so sad and depressed through. It's just hard. Like she was homecoming queen, so everything was completely normal in 2019, and I was able to like she cheered also, and so I was able to see that. But then once COVID hit, it was like grieving something that you literally wait your entire life for, and then it's taken. Um, and then, so I was still in my business, but not like I really should have been. But I look back and my points were had gotten up to like 300 and something. And then Emerson moved off to college in the fall of 2020. She did not get her times like she wanted to. So, of course, the colleges that she wanted to go to, she didn't get to go to. Um, and then it was a struggle trying to, anyway. So she ended up going to Coastal Carolina, and which is 5 hours away. And then because of the mandates and stuff, like I never got to see her actually run at a collegiate level. It was all on social media. I mean, I had to do it on the phone or like just track her times. Like it wasn't ever even a video. So I never got to experience any of that as her being in college. And then she hated it and ended up quitting. So um she has went back to school and done something different. But it was just a really hard season for me, and I pretty much completely stepped away from Plexus. And I would make posts here or there. I was one of the people that like when they come out with the iPad or they come out with something, like I would jump back in and I would post and I would win the thing. But I was not consistent. I was, I had my customers that I had had for a long time. I would check in with them. But as far as like really working or doing anything business wise, I was not doing it.
And I want to say something right here too, Ashley, because I want people to know, like you were coming to convention. I would travel to Georgia and we were doing in-person events. Like you were leading, especially in your, like, let me say it again, in your small town, you were showing up as the face of Plexus. And you actually at one of the conventions in Vegas, and it might have been 2016, I think you heard Jessica Heffley speak from stage, and it kind of just really, you've said through the years, it really ignited something in you. Do you remember that?
Yes. 2016, she spoke for the Diamonds and she talked about how um, the business can be messy and how they send their top earners to marriage counseling. And she shared about the where can you make money as the same money amount as a brain surgeon from your yoga pants at home. And there was just a lot of different stuff that she shared on stage that year that made me start following her on social media. And like I started listening to one of her podcasts. It's not the one that she does currently. It was the other one. But in one of her podcasts, she was talking about spiritual warfare, and she then talked about another podcast. And so anyway, I went down that rabbit hole and started watching and or not watching, but listening to a lot of this guy's podcast
Is it the
along
Adam
with
Young? Is it the Adam Young, The Place We Find Ourselves podcast? Yes. Love
yeah.
it.
And it is the best. And I'll go back. I tell people all the time, like I've sent it to Emerson, Blake, so many people in my family. And I'm like, go back and listen to this because it was a lot of stuff from my childhood that I didn't really realize that I needed to address. And so I really started probably 2019, maybe the late part of 2018, 2019. I started listening to some of that, but I really went back to that in 2022 and was listening to more of the Adam Young stuff
Mm.
and started doing a lot of personal growth. And Blake and I were just in a season of, okay, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. I did not want to have to go back on the ambulance. I did go back temporarily, here and there and worked part time up until 2020. I ran one call, um, and then quit. So I did not want to have to go back. I'd been out of it since 2014 full time. And I was like, okay, Lord, I need a billboard. I do not need, I mean, we talked about parapro, different stuff like that. I don't have a college degree. The only thing that I have is my paramedic. So at the time that I went to school, you didn't have to have any core classes. Um, and I was just sitting at the table one morning doing my devotional, and I was like, Lord, I need a billboard. I'm going to have to go back to work. I'm not going to be able to just chill at home. And it was just plain as day. You've not been with Plexus for 8.5 years. This is where you're supposed to be. And I literally reached back out to you that day. I think it was January the 27th of 2022,
Yeah,
2023.
it was 2023. Let me jump
Yeah.
in. So 2020 happens, which so much let me speak personally really quick. There's a lot of people in Plexus who built their businesses in 2020. I had gone diamond in 2016. And in 2020, when so many people's teams were experiencing massive growth, mine was not. And I could not figure out why because I was doing everything. I remember Andrea and I were having like 3 times a week or 4 times a week, we were having calls. And I can remember interviewing friends whose businesses were exploding, and that just was not happening in my business. In fact, I felt like what was happening on my team where so many people were experiencing what you had gone through, either like a personal grief or they were stuck. They didn't know how to be online. They felt like, how can I sell during this season when the world feels like it's on fire? And so there was just a really stark difference in my business and other leaders' business. And I've realized that happens. That just happens. So you kind of went quiet and I sort of knew why, but I remember not really hearing from you. Like you had been you weren't always like posting all the time, but you'd been consistent and then you were suddenly MIA. And I just remember knowing like she is grieving. How, and so I would check in on you. And so I remember sending you a voice message or a Marco Polo or something when Reset launched in at convention of 22. We were in Columbus, Ohio, and I had gone from having a large team at convention to having like hardly anyone. And I remember reaching out to you after Reset launched and just saying, um, I don't know if you want to know this, but there's something that I really think could help your business explode. And I told you about Reset, and you got back to me right away. You were never like ghosting me, and nothing had happened to our friendship. I just knew that you had been through a lot. And I just remember being like, oh, I want her back so bad, but I didn't want to pressure you or guilt you or anything like that. And so I was actually coming home from Super Saturday. I remember where I was. I remember Melissa Eichenhorst had, trained at Super Saturday, trained about using Reset and her team, and it just helped her business so much. And I was driving home from the airport, and you left me a voice message, and you said in your classic Ashley, Georgia drawl, like, I bet I'm the last person you want to hear from. And all I could think was, I've been dying to hear from you. Like, thank God that you reached out to me. So that was January. That was mid-January of 23. And talk about that season, the comeback season.
So, when I reached out to you, you were like, okay, let's talk about it and let's pray and let's ask the Lord to affirm that this is what you're supposed to be doing. So we did that. And you also said, I want you to just be really consistent in posting, post something every day. Like you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be Plexus, but post something every single day and let's just see what happens. And so December of 2022, I had 66 points. January, I think I had 88. And I just started posting and sharing more with friends. I just knew in my heart that that's where I was supposed to be. And so um, I think my points doubled from February to March. And then so January I have 88, March I had 130. I'm sorry, January I had 88, February I had 130, March I had 189, April 370, and May I hit Ruby with 645. So I went over. And then I stayed at Ruby. Um, I went to convention and had two people go with me then in 2023. And then I earned Leaders Retreat to Labadee or Haiti. And I had three people go with me there, spouses, them and their spouses. Um, And then I maintained Ruby until August of 2024. I hit senior Ruby. And then I've been there until March. But I had been in the 1,000 point range since July of last year. And I claimed Emerald last July. And you and Andrea and Blake come, and I felt like that like helped my team to see that it's possible. I did not hit Emerald, of course, last July, and then I claimed it again in October. And then my points actually dropped back down in January of this year, um, actually February. And but in Cancun, I talked to Melissa Amos, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and come home and head down. And I
Yeah.
told you I was gonna do it before the 28th, and I done it.
And you sure did. Yeah. In fact, I feel like it's important to say that you didn't just hit Emerald, you hit over 1,800 points, highest points ever. I want to talk about some shifts that happened because I feel like for the person watching this and going, okay, but how? Like, how'd that happen? I feel like there's some really important distinctions. One, when you came back, you weren't messing around. Like I could hear it in your voice that when you said, I think I want to come back, it wasn't, I want to come back to mediocrity. I want to come back to playing small or hiding. You wanted to come back and actually, you wanted to really do something. And you knew, and I remember you said this again and again and again and again, you knew that there had to have been a shift between Ashley, 2014 to 2020 and in between, and Ashley 2023 till today. You told me again and again that you knew that God wanted to do something in you mentally, emotionally, spiritually to bring you into real leadership. And that was something that we had processed, over and over. So there was that piece, and we can talk about that. But there was also the piece of shifting from being a recruiter to being a developer. And I saw that happen in you as you brought people with you. First it was kind of a trickle and then it began to grow. And I want to say again, because I think it's so easy to get into this mindset. Ashley is from a small town. What's the population of Elberton currently?
Uh, Becky, I'm not sure.
I know. I
I really
bet,
have no idea.
listen, less than 30,000. That's
We have
my
a
guess.
Walmart and an Ingles, and that's
Yeah.
it. It's very small.
Right. There you go. They got a Walmart. Okay. So, your recruiting ground was people you've known for forever. And in the beginning, I feel like there was a lot of, there was low belief in that town. And we've laughed about it for years. There was sort of this mentality of, well, you don't really have a large network here. And the truth has always been that it's not about who you know, it's about who they know and who they know and who they know. And it gets bigger if you can plant the vision well. And so I feel like you were shifting from being good at sales, which you are, you can always find new customers, but you were shifting to actually teaching people the vision, the belief behind the business and the products, and training them how to do what you're doing, how to then begin to duplicate leaders themselves, and also bringing more people into the community. When you came to convention in 2023, that was Nashville, and you just had, I think, two friends, two VIPs come with you, or I think they were brand ambassadors. Two ambassadors come with you, and then you have grown this team to where finally your team has broken out of the small town, and you've got team members in other states, and that's been a key as well. But I want to talk about the shift that happened for you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually from, Plexus the way you did it starting in 2014 to the way you've done it since 2023. What do you think happened?
Honestly, when I come back, I knew that that was where I needed to be, and I feel like I had a really negative mindset for a long time. Um, and I always felt like it's a small town. In my mind, I had 100% belief in the products, 100% belief in the um opportunity, but I did not have belief in myself.
Right.
And I feel like that the season that I went through, and there were other things like my dad passed away in 2014 with dementia, and my mom is diagnosed with it now. Um, and there have been other things that have happened in my life, relationships lost, and things that I have grieved tremendously. And I feel like that a lot of those things were pruning seasons for the Lord to like really work on me and um like to not to take the focus off of me but and put the focus on him. And from I remember when I come back and I was so focused on like I honestly was not worried about where my points were or what I was earning or anything like that. All I wanted to do was to pour into other people and other women for them to see what was possible with this because I knew that Um, I knew what was possible here, but I had a struggle and a problem with, I think, vision casting that. Like I would get so excited and like trying to explain or tell somebody that I feel like I actually like push them away. And so when I come back, my whole mindset and the way that I went about things was completely different. And I just wanted to like anybody that was interested in sharing, I wanted them to see the opportunity and the possibilities of what was possible here. And I just I just know that like I'm here for a bigger plan and a bigger purpose outside of just the products and the business opportunity or whatever. And I just have so much more faith overall. And I feel like so much of it has sure the Lord could have used any other thing to show me that or to guide me or direct me or whatever. But like I feel like so much of that has come from growth that has happened because of Plexus because it's made me step outside of comfort zones and made me do things that I'm really uncomfortable with and like this. But you know what I mean? Like I just feel like it's grown me in so many other areas. Blake would tell you the same thing. Like I'm not even the same woman that he married, in 2011. Like I'm a completely different person in all areas of my life. And I know that the Lord could have used something else besides Plexus, but I feel like that's what he's used as a driving force in my life. And I'm just grateful.
Girl, me too. I feel like it's important to say that. I feel like God used your comeback story to refill my cup because my cup as a leader was so empty. And a lot of people, life happens. I mean, this is a business that pays you even if you step away or stop. And I want to tell people all the time because I feel like people get a grudge against Plexus, especially when they stop working their businesses. It's and I think it's internalized guilt. They feel guilty, and so they push back from Plexus. But what I want to say is, oh my goodness, please tell me another job that will send you a paycheck every month, even when you haven't clocked in. And I don't bring this up to shame people because, like, we just had a whole conversation about the things that happened in your life, and it wasn't just one thing, but that took you out for a while. And I had seen that happen to a lot of leaders who happened to also be friends. And I feel like God, when He brought you back, He used it to refill my cup as your friend and as your sponsor. And it's just brought like a lot of joy back to my business to have someone who wants to grow, wants to push, is helping to lead, all those things. So can you talk, and then we'll end, but can you talk for a minute to someone who has been with Plexus for a while and for whatever reason has stepped away? Maybe they had a life event, maybe they had that, maybe they're grieving something. Um, Maybe they felt like they were all alone and they had nothing to offer. Maybe they had a health crisis happen or something. Can you talk to them and give them encouragement from where you've been about how they can come back?
Okay, so I think the thing for me was I got, I just plugged back in for one. And the mastermind classes that y'all were doing back then, there's recordings and there's very specific ones that like I could refer to, different ones that really spoke to me. And one of them, and I've talked about it several times, but Fallon talks about the um, magic of thinking big. And that book has been a game changer for me personally, but also like just do it. Like I know when I reached back out to you, I was like, I want to start back, but I want to come back like I'm brand new. I felt like because I had stepped away for the amount of time that I did, even though I was like between senior gold and ruby, I still felt like so much had changed that I did not really know. And instead of me just coming back in, I was like, I remember telling you, like, I want to like relearn, which I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that. But for me personally, like, I just wanted to, like, I said I wanted to relearn. It wasn't, I didn't have to relearn. You know, once I got to posting, once people started reaching out. But my main thing was being active on social media, like making my posts and literally the consistency part for me, even now, is so big because if I'm not posting, people are not reaching out. And I told
Right.
somebody the other day, they're like, well, I'm posting, but like people are not, people are not um purchasing, I mean, they're not liking or they're not commenting. And I was like, 95% of the people that do reach out to me have never liked one of my posts and have never commented. They come to me by inbox or reach out to me text message or whatever, see me in town. But I would say just do it. Like make the first move, make the post, go back and watch some of those videos from Monday Mastermind. I'm sure there's everybody has access to that. But just don't pray about it ultimately as well. But like I think that right now, especially with the momentum of the company, like it's kind of crazy not to. And I just feel like there's been so much change and so much growth for me personally just by doing the next thing, whether it's like making a post or whatever. I mean, I would just say do it.
I agree. Do it and take the pressure off yourself. Just keep showing up. You don't have to, you don't have to.
I will say, like, I mean, I remember feeling like when I reached out to you, like, I'm the last person you probably want to hear from. And I did feel, not that you ever made me feel that way, but like I felt the guilt of myself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like I've let myself down because I let my points go from 300 down to 66. But I'm like, there's so many people out here that do jump in that grow super fast and faster than I did. But like I look at what the Lord has done in my life through growing slow and even stepping back for a while and then coming back and just the person that I am today versus then, and even like the confidence that I have in certain areas that I have never had confidence in before. It's a game changer.
Absolutely. I want to shout you out for a couple more things. Like I said, you ended at over 1,800 points. You've got a brand new senior Ruby under you. There have been rank ups all throughout this spring on your team, which is so exciting. So you've got a growing team. Your team does not pay for products. We don't. We don't incentivize free signups, nothing like that. It's legitimate growth, and it's been growth, like I said, in a small northeast area of Georgia that is now exploding into other regions. So I am proud of you and your leadership. I'm proud for the kind of leader that you have become, and I'm really excited for and proud of your team. Have to shout them out for sure as well. Um, we've done our interview this way because I know you've got, a little Ashley would tell you herself, she has some fears about public speaking, but I kind of feel like the way God has done things, that might be in your future. I don't know how near, but we just wanted to film this today as friends, casually, to put your story out there. I love your story. I will listen to someone. I love the fast ranking stories. Like those are great. Those happen and they're wonderful. And I had a season where that was part of my story. It's no longer part of my story now. My story is now so much more about comeback and struggle and overcoming hardship. And you use the word pruning, which I think is so important because I would say the type of leader I am today has been shaped by struggle, failure, going through hard seasons, self-doubt, feeling a lot of guilt, wondering if I'm good enough, all of those things. And of course, God has continued to like tell me, you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to be here. And that's been such a gift, and you've been a huge part of that. So I just want to say thank you. Okay, I'm going to shut us down, but I hope a lot of people take encouragement from your story.